think Maxey and Dalton move on from.
Yep.
I think DA and then LeBron. I think that's going to come down to a lot of factors. Is he even playing next season? Does he want to be in LA? Do they want him in LA? How much does he want? How much do they want to pay him? A lot of uncertainty there. But what I would say, though, and this is where I'm really interested, I'll say, to see how the summer plays out. I think pretty much every role player on this team within reason or the primary supporting cast, I think they could all fit on the theoretical future version of a Luka Austin led team. I just think they're all bench players. So that's where we could even get into like DA. I think DA is a good backup center. I think, Jackson's a good backup center. I think Marcus, Jake, and Rui are all really good bench players, and so on and so forth. So you just have to restructure the hierarchy of the salary, the cap sheet to have those guys be reflected as bench players. And if any of those guys are starting, I just don't think you're quite good enough, because a point I've been making recently with the whole fifth starter debate is like, none of those guys would start on any of the other top 5 teams in the West. And literally go through each starting group and show where, the one exception was maybe San Antonio, but I actually think Champagnie would start over Rui just because he's a better defender.
The defense,
and I think he actually, he plays more to his size. So, yeah, I don't think any of those guys would start on any of the other teams. And I just think at this point, the Lakers are sort of in a situation where they're probably starting 2 players who should not be starting for a team that wants to try to compete for a title. And you got to restructure that this summer. So I'm fine with keeping a lot of these guys in a bench role, but you have to be adding I think probably 3 front court starters to replace and sort of restructure the entire group.
And I don't think, of all the players that I listed there, I don't think they actually keep all of those players. Those are players who should be in consideration to be held on to. And I think it's a good point that in an ideal world, they're coming off the bench for you rather than starting, both with fit concerns as well as talent level concerns with those types of players. So we'll see if the Lakers can actually accomplish that, because we're talking about 3 starters that we can look at it and say, well, the Lakers are going to have more cap space than anybody else this summer. And that may be factually correct. But the players you're talking about, if they were getting true starting caliber players, my concern, Jovan, is that 50-ish, 57 million, 48 million, whatever it actually lands on, a mountain of cap space and 3 first-round picks may not be enough, probably isn't enough to get the kinds of players that we're talking about here.
No, and that's what I've been saying on the show for the past week since the trade deadline, is that I'm fairly confident. I think the Lakers are going to land an impact player in free agency or in the summer, whether it's via free agency or via the trade market. Some team needs to get off some money. The Lakers can take on a contract and potentially not even give up an asset depending on the situation. But okay, you got your one guy. You still need more guys. And especially if you're losing LeBron, then, let's just say they land Peyton Watson. Denver cheaps out. They can't get off the Cam Johnson contract. They don't want to give up Christian Brown. Okay, if we'll pay Peyton Watson up to $25 million. If you go up above $25 million, we're not going to match it. Lakers go up above 20, pay him $27 million, or 30, sure. If you're at let's just say on average 50-ish million for the cap scenarios here, that's already 60% of your cap is gone. And now you have 20 million to play with to, in my opinion, probably add 2 starting level players, or maybe you add a starting level center and then you re-sign Rui with his bird rights, and Rui's your starting 4. But then also look at who's out there in free agency and show me the guy that is worth that 20-ish million or 15 to 20 million. I don't think you're getting Mitchell Robinson for that. And even then, I think he's more of a high-level backup than a starter and someone who New York has had to protect from a workload perspective. So I just think you're in a tough position where I think LA is going to get a name, and I think they'll be able to sell that, and they will sell that to the fan base of, hey, we got player X, we got player Y, whatever. It's, can you build out the actual starting group and rotation? That's where I'm more skeptical.
Yeah. It's a mountain of work. It's why I wanted to see more stuff done at the trade deadline, because now you've put a lot. I'm of the mindset that, number one, there's frustration on my part that you've got a team with LeBron, Luka, Austin only making 14 million, and you're at a spot where you have to say our deficiencies are going to prevent them from being in that contender tier. And you weren't able to fix that. You weren't able to fix that this season. That should not be an acceptable outcome when you've got that kind of top end talent on your team. But this is the spot that they're in. And we could spend an hour going into all the past decisions that have ultimately led them to this point. Now, though, this summer, I really don't think that it is acceptable to come out of this summer with a team that is not ready to roll. And I think part of that is they're going to start feeling the pressure of Luka's pending free agency coming up in a couple of years. If they come out of another summer saying, well, maybe we can fix X, Y, and Z at the trade deadline, they've got a lot of work to do this summer to land those kind of pieces that you're talking about. And like you said, if we're talking about restricted free agents, those are the best names out there on the market. You're going to have to get that incumbent team not to match. I think the Jazz probably match just about anything on Walker Kessler. Peyton Watson's going to be difficult to get. These may be the best players available, but actually acquiring them, well, Rob Pelinka is going to have to really show his value this summer and find some way to magic wand this into a roster that has the types of players that the Lakers need, the types of players that every team is going after right now. Athletic defenders who can switch across multiple positions and shoot the ball. Very, very difficult to find those players, but that will be the task of this Lakers team this summer. And that's why part of what they're doing right now and what they're going to do from here on out, it's not only about playing their best basketball come playoff time, giving themselves a shot, make your playoff run as long as you possibly can, of course, but it's also about figuring out who is it that they can hang on to. Is Rui a guy that you bring back? How much money does Rui want on his next contract? What's the price to move off of Jared Vanderbilt? Do you keep Vando and say that maybe the shooting will continue to improve? All of those decisions are going to have to be made, and they're going to have to get them right if the Lakers are going to thread this needle and become the team that ultimately they need to be. So there's a mixed bag of moves from Rob Pelinka over the years. This is do or die time this summer. This is going to be definitively, can Rob build this team out or not? I think we're going to have an answer to that by, let's say, September.
Yeah, and again, I'm trying to set what I think is going to happen here, and again, could be wrong.
You're not optimistic about what's
could play out several. Well, because I think they're going to get a name. I think they're going to find like the shiny player that they can prop up as like, hey, we did something this summer. But I think it needs to be beyond that of like, okay, you got Peyton Watson, but did you also get the center? Yeah. And did you add some two-way depth to this roster? You got Walker Kessler. Okay. Did you get the wing? You got Giannis. Okay. How'd you build out the rest of the group? Right. Like that's my thing is I think at times that they've kind of done like the one move and sort of champion that move as like the big addition of the summer or the big thing that they did, when I think a lot of summers it's needed to be multiple moves and bigger changes, and they just have not followed through on that. So that's where I'm at. Of